Have you ever felt like the weight of the world is pressing down on your chest, like no matter how hard you try, the worries never end? The deadlines, the responsibilities, the uncertainties, they pile up until you feel yourself suffocating. And in the quiet moments, when the world is still and your thoughts are loud, you ask yourself, why am I so anxious? Why can't I find peace? We live in a world that glorifies productivity and perfection, where every small failure feels magnified and every expectation weighs like a mountain. And yet, the truth is this: our hearts were never designed to carry the entire world on their shoulders. The weight we feel is not just physical, it is spiritual. It is the heart's call whispering that it has been disconnected from its true source of peace. And so the question arises, what if the calm we've been searching for isn't in control, achievements, or approval from others, but in turning back to the one who never abandons us? Pause for a moment. Breathe. Let the thoughts sink in. Maybe the stress, the anxiety, the endless mental chatter is not a punishment. It is a reminder. A reminder from Allah that your heart belongs to Him, and that real peace cannot be found in what is fleeting, temporary, or uncertain. Today, we will explore how to manage stress with an Islamic mindset so that your heart can find rest even in chaos, and your soul can feel serenity even when the world around you feels overwhelming. Before we can manage stress, we need to understand why it overwhelms us. Often, stress grows in the heart because we mistake control for responsibility. We try to hold everything together, fix every outcome, and predict every tomorrow. And when reality does not bend to our expectations, the heart becomes restless. Our minds replay failures, our hearts anticipate fear, and our energy drains into worries we cannot change. Society magnifies this confusion. Everywhere we turn, we are taught that constant productivity, perfection, and achievement define our worth. Social media glorifies the busy, the overworked, the flawless. We compare ourselves to standards that are unattainable, and our hearts feel inadequate. Slowly, stress becomes more than a momentary reaction, it becomes a lifestyle. Consider someone juggling family, work, and personal obligations. Each day feels like a race. They pray, they plan, they push themselves to the limit, yet sleep eludes them, meals are skipped, and anxiety lingers like a shadow. They may pray for relief, but their heart remains distant from Allah because the source of their trust has shifted from the Creator to themselves and to the fragile world around them. Stress, in essence, grows when the heart leans on what cannot sustain it. Allah reminds us in the Quran, those who have believed and whose hearts are assured by the remembrance of Allah. Unquestionably, by the remembrance of Allah, hearts are assured. So 13:8, our hearts were designed to rest in Allah, not in outcomes, not in people, not in achievements. When we forget this, the weight becomes unbearable. But before we go deeper, we need to ask ourselves something important. Where have I misplaced my trust? Where have I leaned on the temporary instead of the eternal? Because until we answer these questions honestly, no technique, no schedule, no strategy can give the lasting peace our hearts crave. The difference between fleeting relief and lasting serenity lies in anchoring the heart in Allah. Attachment to outcomes, fear of judgment, and reliance on the world produce anxiety. Trust in Allah, reflection, and mindfulness of His presence produce peace. Attachment to results makes the heart restless: fear of failure, fear of disapproval, fear of losing control. But reliance on Allah, tawakkul, transforms stress into serenity. It does not mean inactivity, it means doing your best while surrendering the unseen outcome to the one who knows better than you. The Prophet said, if you were to rely upon Allah with due reliance, He would provide for you as He provides for the birds. They go out in the morning hungry and return full. Mindfulness through prayer, salat, remembrance, dhikr, and reflection, tafakkur, recalibrates the heart. Stress does not vanish, but the lens through which we view it changes. Anxiety loses its grip because the heart knows it is not carrying the burden alone. Fasting, gratitude, and charity also act as spiritual therapies, cleansing the heart, redirecting focus, and nurturing trust in Allah. Think of it like this: stress chains you to fear, reliance on Allah gives you wings. Fear of the unknown may still exist, but it no longer dominates your heart. You begin to act with intention, not compulsion. You take responsibility without obsession. You care deeply without clinging. So the reflective question becomes, am I carrying the weight of the world myself, or am I allowing Allah to shoulder it with me? Awareness of this distinction is the first step toward transforming stress into peace. And now we must ask ourselves, how can we transform the heaviness in our hearts into light, using the guidance Allah has provided us through the Quran and the Sunnah? Stress often feels like an unstoppable force because we approach it solely with our limited human tools, logic, schedules, plans, and self-will. But Islam teaches us that while effort is required, peace comes from aligning the heart with Allah. When the mind is at peace with the divine, stress loses its intensity even when life remains demanding. The first strategy is intentional reliance, or tawakkul. True reliance on Allah does not mean abandoning action, it means doing your best while surrendering the results to Him. Imagine carrying a heavy burden, and someone stronger than you appears to shoulder part of the weight. You still move, but you do so with less fear and more focus. This is the essence of tawakkul. The Prophet exemplified this in every action he planned, worked, and made decisions, but he trusted Allah with outcomes beyond his control. As Allah says in the Quran, and rely upon Allah, and sufficient is Allah as disposer of affairs. So 33 the anchoring the heart in this understanding reduces anxiety because the mind no longer bears the impossible responsibility of controlling every outcome. Next, embrace mindfulness and reflection. Islam encourages hearts to pause, reflect, and remember. Prayer salat is not merely a ritual. It is a moment of spiritual alignment, a reset for the mind and soul. Dhikr, the remembrance of Allah, quiets the noise in the heart, reflecting on Allah's signs in the universe. His mercy and His wisdom helps us see our challenges from a higher perspective. The Prophet said, "There is no fatigue, nor disease, nor sorrow, nor sadness, nor hurt, nor distress befalls a Muslim, even if it were the prick he receives from a thorn, but that Allah expiates some of his sins for that." Every struggle can be a pathway to purification and spiritual elevation, transforming stress into a meaningful connection with Allah. Gratitude is another powerful tool. When the heart focuses on blessings instead of deficiencies, the weight of anxiety diminishes. Even amidst challenges, pausing to count the small mercies, health, family, sustenance, the ability to breathe, grounds the soul. Gratitude shifts perspective from fear and scarcity to abundance and trust. Charity, sadaqah, complements this. Giving to others releases tension from the heart, reminds us of the greater picture, and increases spiritual resilience. Control what you can, release what you cannot. Make intentional steps to manage your life. Organize tasks, prioritize, seek solutions, but surrender the uncontrollable to Allah. Worrying about what is beyond your control only chains your heart, while surrendering creates peace. Reflect on this metaphor. Stress tries to weigh you down like chains. Allah's guidance gives you wings. You still walk your path, but your heart soars above fear. And finally, cultivate patience. Life is inherently uncertain, and stress often arises from expecting certainty where there is none. Patience, sabr, does not remove difficulties. It teaches the heart to endure, to trust, and to remain anchored in faith. Every trial, every pressure, every moment of uncertainty is an opportunity to practice sabr and to grow spiritually stronger. As we implement these strategies, the question arises, am I living in alignment with Allah's guidance, or am I letting worldly pressure dominate my heart? Awareness of this distinction is critical, because the heart that leans on Allah, remembers Him constantly, and acts intentionally will always find light, even in the darkest of moments. And now we must ask ourselves, what is it inside me that allows stress to take root so deeply? Often, we blame the external world, deadlines, people, responsibilities. But the heart knows the truth is stress grows not just from what happens around us, but from what happens within us. From unchecked thoughts, unresolved fears, and misplaced reliance, stress festers and blooms until it dominates our lives. The first step in resetting the heart is awareness. Reflect on your recurring worries. What thoughts repeat themselves when anxiety rises? Are you fearing judgment, failure, or imperfection? Often, stress thrives on what the Prophet warned against, placing expectations and pressures on ourselves that Allah has not placed. The Quran reminds us, do not kill yourselves, whore one another. Indeed, Allah is to you ever merciful. Ayah 429. Sometimes stress is the heart's cry that we are trying to carry more than we were meant to, forgetting Allah's mercy and guidance. Next, notice attachment to outcomes. One of the most common internal triggers is the constant need to control results. You may work tirelessly, pray fervently, and plan meticulously, and yet your heart trembles with fear because you cannot control the future. Islam teaches us that this reliance on the temporary is the very root of anxiety, and rely upon Allah, and sufficient is Allah as disposer of affairs. So 33's awareness of this misplaced reliance allows the heart to release its grip on what cannot be controlled, replacing fear with trust. Another internal trigger is self-judgment. When you speak harshly to yourself, comparing your progress to others, or believing that any imperfection is unacceptable, stress multiplies. Reflective self-kindness, grounded in Islamic teachings, resets the heart. Allah reminds us, indeed, Allah does not burden a soul beyond that it can bear. Tud 286, recognizing this truth gently calms the mind. You are not failing. You are human. You are allowed patience, growth, and mercy, both from Allah and from yourself. Mental clutter is also a significant trigger. Thoughts accumulate, worries pile up, and the heart loses clarity. To reset, we must pause intentionally, engage in prayer, dhikr, or quiet reflection. Even a few moments of deep breathing while remembering Allah's mercy can dissolve tension. When the heart reconnects with its Creator, the internal storm begins to calm. Finally, reflect on gratitude. Internal stress often grows from focusing on what is lacking rather than what is present. Shift your heart to notice blessings, your health, your loved ones, your provision, your breath. Gratitude is a reset mechanism. Charity, intentional kindness, and small acts of service amplify this effect, reminding the heart of abundance rather than scarcity. As we implement these steps, the reflective question arises, emanating the stress through fear, self-criticism, and control, or am I feeding the heart through trust, gratitude, and remembrance of Allah? Awareness of these triggers allows the heart to intervene before anxiety becomes overwhelming. When we pause, reflect, and re-anchor ourselves in Allah, even the deepest stress can be transformed into an opportunity for spiritual growth, patience, and mercy. And as we consider this, we move naturally to the next step. How do we cultivate daily practices that protect our heart, prevent stress from overwhelming us, and keep us anchored in divine peace? This is where intention meets action, and the heart begins to experience the serenity it has longed for. And now we must ask ourselves, what daily practices can gently guide my heart back to peace, even amidst the chaos of life? Managing stress is not about escaping reality, it is about cultivating a heart that rests in Allah while navigating the world. Islam offers us tools to do just this. Small intentional actions that reconnect us to our Creator, purify our hearts, and build resilience against anxiety. The first practice is consistent prayer, salad. Prayer is more than ritual, it is a direct conversation with Allah, a space where the heart can release its worries, fears, and burdens. When we pause for salah, we step out of the whirlwind of thought and into the presence of the One who knows all, controls all, and sustains all. Even a short, focused prayer in moments of overwhelm can reset the mind, realign intentions, and remind the heart that it is not alone. The Prophet A said, "The coolness of my eyes is in prayer." Imagine allowing your heart to feel this serenity daily. Next is dhikr, the remembrance of Allah. Simple phrases like Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, and Allahu Akbar act as anchors. Each repetition draws the heart inward, dissolving tension and reminding us that Allah is near, aware, and merciful. When anxiety rises, pause and breathe while engaging in dhikr. Let each word gently release fear, replacing it with trust. Gratitude is another essential practice. Each morning, consider 3 blessings that often go unnoticed: your health, your home, your sustenance, or even the breath in your lungs. Gratitude shifts the heart's focus from scarcity to abundance, from fear to contentment. The Prophet said, "Hey, who does not thank people, does not thank Allah." Gratitude opens the heart to divine mercy and nurtures resilience against stress. Charity, sadaqah, is equally powerful. Giving from what we have, even a small act, releases tension from the heart and reminds us that our concerns are a part of a larger, interconnected world. Acts of service redirect energy from anxiety into purposeful action, creating inner calm and spiritual satisfaction. Intentional reflection, tafakkur, also strengthens the heart. At the end of each day, pause and review your moments. The challenges, the victories, the mistakes, the lessons. Reflect on Allah's mercy, His guidance, and the signs of His presence even in trials. This helps the mind process stress instead of storing it, and the heart develops wisdom and patience over time. Finally, prioritize self-care within the framework of Islam. Eat nourishing food, rest adequately, exercise, and protect moments of solitude. Caring for the body and mind honors the trust Allah has placed in you and ensures that stress does not overwhelm the heart. A strong, balanced self is more capable of patience, reliance, and peaceful action. The reflective question becomes, am I taking daily steps to nurture my heart? Or am I letting life's demands dictate my peace? When we commit to these practices consistently, even the heaviest burdens begin to feel lighter. Stress does not vanish entirely, but the heart no longer trembles under its weight because it has been anchored in trust, remembrance, and mercy. And as we embrace these practices, the natural transition arises. How can we weave all these lessons together, transforming our hearts permanently, so that stress no longer controls us, but serves as a guide towards spiritual growth? This reflection leads us to the final section's integration, closure, and the call to action that solidifies these truths in the heart. And now we ask ourselves, how can I take all these teachings, reliance on Allah, gratitude, dhikr, reflection, prayer, self-care, and weave them seamlessly into the rhythm of my daily life? Managing stress is not a one-time solution. It is a lifelong practice. The heart requires daily reminders, gentle habits, and intentional actions to remain anchored amidst life's chaos. Integration begins with intention. Every morning, set a conscious intention to prioritize your spiritual well-being alongside your worldly responsibilities. Before checking emails, social media, or deadlines, pause and remind yourself, today, I choose to seek peace through Allah's guidance first. This small mental alignment sets the tone for the entire day, allowing stress to be addressed proactively rather than reactively. Next, create spiritual anchors in your day. Schedule moments for prayer, dhikr, reflection, and gratitude. Even short pauses, a minute of deep breathing while repeating Subhanallah, a 5-minute reflection on Allah's blessings, a mindful sip of water while thanking Him, anchor your heart and reset your mind. These small acts, performed consistently, build resilience against stress. Another key practice is journaling or mental review. At the end of each day, reflect on what caused anxiety, what provoked fear, and how you responded. Then, place your trust in Allah by letting go of what you cannot control and celebrate the moments where you acted with patience, reliance, and mindfulness. This habit transforms stress into lessons, turning pressure into growth and fear into wisdom. Balance is essential. Islam teaches moderation in all aspects of life. Overworking, neglecting self-care, or ignoring spiritual needs intensifies stress. Protect your sleep, nutrition, exercise, and quiet time while fulfilling your obligations. A balanced life allows the heart to operate from strength rather than exhaustion. Intentional detachment from outcomes also plays a vital role. Do your best in work, relationships, and responsibilities, but surrender results to Allah. Trust that whatever unfolds is according to divine wisdom. Stress loses its power when the heart is anchored in certainty of Allah's mercy rather than the unpredictability of the world. Surround yourself with reminders of Allah's presence. Inspirational books, Quranic verses, reminders from loved ones, or simply observing nature can help your heart stay mindful. Each reminder serves as a pause from chaos, an invitation to breathe, reflect, and reconnect. And here is a gentle reflection. Am I living intentionally, or am I letting life sweep me along, leaving my heart anxious and scattered? Awareness of this distinction allows you to weave daily practices naturally into life, transforming stress into a spiritual opportunity rather than a burden. As these habits become part of your rhythm, the heart learns a new language, a language of trust, patience, gratitude, and mercy. Stress no longer dominates, it informs, challenges no longer paralyze, they teach, and peace, previously fleeting, becomes a constant companion because your heart has been anchored in Allah, nurtured daily, and shielded from unnecessary burdens. The next step is a heart-to-heart reflection, drawing all of these lessons together so the viewer can carry them into life with intention and inspiration. This leads naturally into the closing message and call to action, ensuring the teaching leaves a lasting impact. And now we pause to reflect. After all these lessons, practices, and reflections, where is your heart today? Has it felt the weight of stress lighten even slightly? Has the whisper of Allah's presence calmed a restless mind? Because the journey to managing stress is not about perfection. It is about presence, awareness, and trust. It is about learning to let go of the impossible, to rely on the one who never fails, and to embrace the peace that is always within reach. Stress is not a failure of faith, it is an invitation to return, an invitation to remember that our hearts were created to rest in Allah, not in fleeting outcomes, fleeting approval, or fleeting control. The Prophet A taught us through both his words and actions that a heart anchored in faith remains calm amidst the storms of life. He showed patience in trials, reliance in uncertainty, gratitude in ease, and mercy in difficulty. And we too can emulate this path by cultivating awareness, practicing mindfulness, and relying on Allah's infinite wisdom. Let us reflect on this metaphor. Stress may feel like waves crashing against your soul, threatening to pull you under, but reliance on Allah is like the deep ocean beneath, steady, vast, and supporting. You may feel tossed in the moment, but the foundation is unshakable. Your heart may tremble, but it is safe, anchored in divine mercy. As we close this reflection, remember small, intentional steps matter. One pause for prayer, one moment of dhikr, one act of gratitude, one decision to release control can shift the balance of your entire day. The heart learns to breathe again when given permission to rest in the one who knows it best. Reflect on this gentle question. Am I allowing stress to dominate my heart, or am I inviting Allah to guide me through it, transforming each challenge into a moment of growth? This is the key. Awareness, intention, and reliance turn every moment of anxiety into an opportunity for patience, wisdom, and closeness to Allah. Take a moment now and breathe. Remind yourself that peace is not a destination, it is cultivated in the choices you make each day. Stress will come and go, but the heart anchored in Allah's guidance remains resilient, calm, and capable of serenity even amidst the chaos. And here is where your heart meets action. What will you do with this reflection today? Knowledge without action leaves the heart unchanged. The Quran emphasizes the importance of acting upon guidance. Indeed, the most beloved of deeds to Allah is the most consistent, even if it is small. Sesehi Bukhari, small, intentional steps build the foundation for lasting peace. I invite you to reflect in the comments below. Share your experiences, your struggles with stress, and the small steps you are taking to align your heart with Allah. Your words may inspire someone else who is struggling silently, reminding them that they are not alone, and that peace is attainable through mindful reliance and spiritual connection. Share this video with someone who needs a gentle reminder today. A friend overwhelmed with life, a loved one weighed down by anxiety, a colleague feeling invisible under pressure. Your act of sharing can ripple beyond you, planting seeds of serenity in hearts that need it most. And if you want more guidance, reflection, and heart-centered content like this, subscribe to the channel and join a community of hearts seeking peace, mercy, and divine love. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of reflection that could transform your day, your heart, and your life. Let us end with this reflection. Am I ready to allow Allah to guide my heart through stress, to replace fear with trust, and to transform my challenges into opportunities for growth? Make the commitment today. Let each breath, each prayer, each moment of dhikr, and each act of gratitude be a step toward a heart free from overwhelming stress and full of divine serenity. Remember, stress may be inevitable, but peace is a choice. A heart that chooses Allah over fear, trust over control, gratitude over anxiety, and reflection over distraction will always find rest. Even when life is demanding, let this be your reminder, your anchor, and your guide, and let it inspire you to take small, consistent steps toward a calm and resilient heart. Comment, share, and subscribe, because your journey to peace is not only personal, it is a light that can illuminate the hearts of many.